All right, so we just got to our first camp spot for the night. Behind us, we got this nice, beautiful stream down here. And we have the luxury tonight of this awesome view back here and the rooftop tent. So we're gonna acclimate tonight. We're about 2 miles from Big Sandy. So we're gonna camp out, acclimate tonight, maybe do a little bit of fishing, and just enjoy this absolutely gorgeous view.
All right. He's very serious about this strawberry cheesecake donut. But it is September 14th, Tuesday. And we are here at the Big Sandy Trailhead in the Wind River Mountains. Spent last night, first night in the rooftop tent here in the Tacoma. That was quite an experience, and definitely gonna set us up for some adventures in the future. But basically, tell everybody what we're doing.
Just hiking.
We have a little bit of an outline of a plan, but I've been finding that we've really been enjoying like freestyling more. So basically, I guess the only day there really is a plan for is today.
Yeah.
We'll be leaving here from the Big Sandy Trailhead, going over Jackass Pass into the Cirque of the Towers, and everything after that is freestyle on this trip. So bring you guys along with. Sorry, go ahead.
Hoping to grab some goldens.
Yeah.
Maybe some nice rainbows. We got some little bit. We took on some extra weight for some spinning rods this time.
Yeah, I somehow broke my Tenkara rod. Jesse brought his, and then we picked up a couple of cheap spinners from Cabela's, and been watching a lot of videos on trout fishing out here. Gonna see what we can do to catch some bigger fish this time. So bring you guys along with us and enjoy the video.
All right, guys, we're on the initial 6-mile hike into Big Sandy Lake from the Big Sandy Trailhead. It's absolutely gorgeous out. A little chilly this morning, frosted over, but yeah, able to get away with just a sun hoodie today. It's pretty hot in the sections that are pretty wide open, so it's kind of nice to get into these shaded tree areas. And looks like we're gonna stop for lunch at Big Sandy and maybe hook some fish, and then try and decide where our next thing is from there. Either gonna be shooting over to more east and going up Temple, or heading to find camp for the night after that. So we're on our last approach to Big Sandy Lake. You can start to see some of the mountains in the background. We're going to be going to the west-ish here, across Jackass Pass, after we eat some lunch and do some fishing today.
All right, we are up here at Big Sandy Lake. Probably a little over 5 miles into our trip today, and gonna stop here for some lunch and some fishing, and then we'll be headed up that way to access the Cirque of the Towers.
All right, guys, we're making our way up Jackass Pass right now. Pretty brutal. Just taking it kind of slow so we don't burn out for the rest of the week.
right, guys. Arrowhead Lake is through this boulder field, and the top of Jackass Pass is right there on the right.
Up here at Jackass Pass, pretty brutal climb up and out, but the view is absolutely spectacular. I'll show you guys in a second here. So, completed Jackass Pass. We spent some time fishing kind of over here.
I caught a rainbow.
Caught a rainbow. Only fish so far. Pretty decent size. It wasn't like the little small.
Probably 12 inches or so.
12 inch, yeah. We're getting dinner right now, cooked up. And then we got about another mile or so to camp. But the view here is absolutely ridiculous.
All right, guys, we're getting packed up here after breakfast. And beautiful morning. About as good as you could ask for this time of year. We can hear elk bugling somewhere up below this peak behind us. And I'm gonna turn it over to Jesse here and ask what your favorite part of yesterday was.
Most definitely getting off of Jackass Pass and into the Cirque. And just how epic it is. Definitely my favorite thing from yesterday.
What about your least favorite part of yesterday?
Going up Jackass. For sure.
I don't blame you on that one.
I was a bit slow, so
It happens,
hopefully
man.
we'll remedy that today and loosen up, but
I would say my favorite part of yesterday, probably that area between like North Lake and starting the final ascent of Jackass. It's just such a beautiful area that makes you feel so insignificant and small.
yeah.
I mean, like the view when you get to the top of Jackass is also great. Like you get into the Cirque,
Yeah.
you get this experience.
You're real walled in.
But yeah, being in those walls and like, I don't know, just the way that the terrain falls in there, and you just get that sense of like, I'm a grain of sand in this environment.
Yeah.
My least favorite part of yesterday, probably a tiebreaker. I think I just don't like the trail to Big Sandy. It's easy, but it's boring. And then that final part of Jackass Pass is always terrible. But the payoff is usually worth it. So after talking a little bit after breakfast, sounds like the plan for today is to go ahead and go down the trail here about 1.5 miles, and then we'll be going up Lizard Head Pass. Basically, what the route today will entail is ascending about 2,000 feet within about 2 miles of camp here, and then we'll kind of be up on a dry like plateau essentially for about 5 miles.
I don't think we we don't really do much elevation or loss up there. It's just
Yeah, you're just on a plateau, kind of walking in the high country with no trees and no vegetation, and
no water.
but the goal, basically, I mean, that area over there where we're going is much less visited, and we'll be going to a series of lakes. We don't know exactly which way we're going to go yet. We could go up to Grave Lake and eventually get out over Hailey Pass. We could go to like Loch Levin and Macon Lakes and Pass Lake and go over Washakie Pass. But the goal is just to get over into that area today and figure it out from there. So hopefully after doing this scenic part of the trip at the beginning, the fishing gets a little better over that way where it is less trafficked. That's kind of the plan. Alright guys, we're up at the top of Lizard Head Pass. What a spectacular fucking view. Sorry for my swearing, but there's just no words for this. This is why you do this kind of stuff, even though it's brutal. Alright guys, so that shelf up there is essentially what we spent all day crossing. And now we're dropping down here, back in the tree line towards Valentine Lake. Alright guys, it is sunrise on the morning of day 3 here at Valentine Lake in the Wind River Range. Well, I would say my favorite part of yesterday was definitely that walk up high across the Lizard Head Plateau. I mean, those two little rises that we went over, there's just, where else are you going to get a view like that?
Yeah.
And then least favorite part of yesterday would have to be the climb up to get up there, or actually some of this descent I was not a big fan of. Just a lot of loose rock, a lot of places to fall or hurt yourself, especially on tired legs at the end of a long day like that. But like Jesse said, plan for today, we're grabbing some water here at Valentine Lake, and then we will be packing up camp and heading over to Grave Lake, which is about 5 miles from here. Probably have a late breakfast there and then do some fishing as we kind of slowly work our way around the lake. So beautiful sunrise. I'll throw in a few video clips of that and we'll chat with you later. All right, Jesse, while you're doing that, why don't you tell us what your favorite part of yesterday was?
Probably being here at sunset. It's kind of a tie between that and just the walk across Lizard Head Plateau area.
Yeah. How about your least favorite?
Climbing. Lizard Head Pass at the beginning.
Yeah.
Switchbacks.
And what's the plan for today?
We'll filter some water, back our shit up, do the 5 miles to Grave, eat some biscuits and gravy, fish all day, make camp at the other end of Grave.
So just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what we did yesterday, that peak with the glacier, that face right, see if I can find my finger right there, that's Lizard Head Peak. And so those shots where we had that big mountain with 2 lakes below, we started there. We traversed this entire plateau coming this way. That peak right up there, that's Cathedral Peak. So we came over on that U-shaped shoulder and then dropped down. And we're now on the Bears Ears Trail headed towards Grave Lake. Jesse's just trying to find a spot to see if he can catch anything with his Tenkara rod. Stopped up here where there's a little rock outcropping so that we could take a little break and have some lunch. It's a little chilly with the breeze coming off here. And then we'll be kind of slowly making our way around this lake and trying to fish it, hopefully. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have been posted up here at the outlet of Grave Lake for about an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Caught 3 pretty decent sized Mackinac trout. None of them on video, but I'll throw some pictures in. And right before the first fish comes on, I hear a voice. What did you say?
I said, I just cut my hand down to the tendon.
And of course, when you hear that, your first reaction is, what? So that's what I said. Turned around and he's wiggling his finger and I can see it moving inside of his hand, which is not cool. So we think we have it figured out. That was a scary experience.
It's a good thing to always have with you.
Some sea locks.
Sea locks.
And then your follow-up is crazy glue.
Crazy glue.
But going to get this figured out and then we're going to continue fishing. Hopefully we'll get 1 or 2 of these on film for you guys.
Little knives are no joke.
That little guy is sharp.
Wow.
Have you guys ever seen a sunrise at 10,000 feet before? Because now you have. All right, guys, we've come up about 300 to 400 feet from where we camped this morning and just hit a junction here for the Hailey Pass trail. So that's our next objective, about 800 feet of climbing from here, about a mile from where we're sitting. And once we knock that out, we're kind of done with the really hard high terrain for this trip. And probably be trying to get somewhere near Marms or Dad's Lake today. That would be about 7 more miles from here, 7 to 8 more miles, and then we'd be about 6 miles from the Big Sandy Trailhead. So we'll see what happens. And I realized I forgot to do this morning. So Jesse, what was your favorite part of yesterday?
Smashing trout at grave.
What about your least favorite?
Slicing my hand open.
Solid choices. Short, concise, to the point. I would say the scenery around Grave. That's my new favorite place in the Wind River Range. I've never been anywhere that feels like that before. Man, there's just nothing about that place that I have to say
I think that's kind
negatively at all.
The thing with the fishing too is like you can go catch the trout, fish anywhere, but like you stand on the shore of Grave and it's just spectacular. I mean, like mind blowing. And you're out here catching these big trout.
Yeah.
And just.
I mean, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Like I just found myself kind of smiling the entire day because there was nothing bad to say about that place. My least favorite part of yesterday, I don't know. That's hard because it was a good day. Probably, I don't know. That little bump over to Grave Lake kind of sucked, but it wasn't too big of a deal in comparison to
maybe just
things.
having fishing reel problems.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you cutting your hand open. That was scary. So.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Alright, guys. So we have packed up camp, grabbing a quick snack before we hit the trail here. We have about 5-ish miles to get to the vehicle today at Big Sandy. And just want to ask you, well, let's get one thing out of the way. It was extremely cold last night.
Yeah. This is how cold it was.
I have crazy leggings. Oh, that's a frozen Snickers, a delicacy if you were trying to do it.
Yep.
But anyway, what was your favorite part of yesterday?
Probably the hike out of Grave. It was so gorgeous, and while Hailey was like pretty brutal, it was still awesome being up there and like just getting to see all the surrounding mountains and stuff.
For sure. I would agree that scenery kind of coming up Hailey Pass before that steep part at the end is top notch.
Yeah.
And then those lakes on the other side, like Maze Lake and Skull Lake, those were both
beautiful,
really beautiful lakes. We ended up just taking long breaks at both of those yesterday. But how about your least favorite part of yesterday?
Wind.
The wind on Hailey was wild. Knocking people down. We didn't stay up there for very long, even though the view was spectacular. I'll throw a clip or two in here and you guys will see that. But anyway, last day of the trip. Probably one of the best backpacking trips I've ever been on.
Same.
And
back to heated seats and Doritos.
Heated seats and Doritos coming to a screen near you here shortly. Well, guys, we got back to the Big Sandy Trailhead and we are following some cattle, heading much lower in altitude for the winter. But it's going to take us a little while to get back to civilization at this speed.